Philadelphia resident Clyde Alexander Shelton is attacked by robbers Rupert Ames and Clarence Darby. While Ames steals all the valuables, Darby stabs Shelton, saying the words, "You can't fight fate," rapes and kills his wife and little daughter. Soon the criminals are in the hands of justice. But the young and ambitious Assistant District Attorney Nick Rice, who is handling the case, tells Shelton that there is not enough evidence against Ames and Darby to be sure that the criminals will be convicted, and therefore he makes a deal with Darby that he will testify against Ames, and he will get a shorter sentence. Shelton protests against such a decision, but Nick ignores him because he cares about his own image. As a result, Ames, the thief who did not stop the killer, is sentenced to death, and Darby, the actual killer, only to 3 years. As he leaves the courthouse, a satisfied Darby shakes Nick's hand. This scene is watched from afar by a depressed Shelton. 10 years pass. During the execution by lethal injection, Ames dies in terrible agony. Nick Rice finds a note on the drip from under the poison that says, "Can't fight fate," and remembers that this phrase was uttered by Darby during the trial. The police go after Darby, who receives a call from an anonymous person, telling him about the police and ordering him to run away. He also tells him that there is a police car near his house with a stunned driver inside. Escaping from the police, Darby reaches the car and orders the driver to leave. Arriving at a wasteland, the policeman takes off his wig. It turns out to be Clyde Shelton. Darby tries to shoot him, with a gun picked up in the car, but needles stick into his hand from the handle of the gun. Shelton explains to Darby that it is tetrodotoxin poison, which paralyzes, but does not relieve pain. Shelton takes the paralyzed Darby to an abandoned warehouse, where he applies tourniquets to prevent Darby from dying of blood loss, injects him with adrenaline, hangs a mirror in front of him with a photo of his family and dismembers him, filming it all on camera, and sends the recording to Nick's home. Meanwhile, Nick, finding Darby, quickly realizes that Shelton is involved in the murder of Ames and Darby. Soon Shelton is arrested. During interrogation, Shelton immediately gives Nick a confession. Satisfied, Nick is about to leave, but Shelton says that there is no evidence against him, because in his confession he did not say that he killed Ames and Darby, but only said that he planned to kill, and did not specify which one exactly. On the video recording that he sent to Nick, the killer in a mask. Shelton hints that Nick behaves as carelessly as the police, who searched for evidence against Ames and Darby. Nick has to admit it, and Shelton makes a condition. He will give a real confession, and Nick in exchange will bring him a comfortable mattress in his cell. Nick, annoyed by Shelton's mockery, under pressure from his colleague, Jonas Cantrell, agrees. However, in court Shelton not only does not give confessions, but successfully rejects all charges against him and cunningly achieves his release on bail. But when the judge, believing his words, is ready to let him go, Shelton suddenly snaps and rudely accuses the judge that she immediately believed his false statements and almost let him go, even though he killed 2 people and practically admitted it directly in the courtroom. Shelton believes that because of people like her, problems arise in justice. As a result, the angry judge denies him bail. Shelton returns to prison. There he formally correctly confesses to killing Darby and Ames. Then Shelton again offers Nick a deal. If he delivers him lunch from a good restaurant and turns on music in his cell at exactly 1 o'clock in the afternoon, then the killer will tell him the location of Darby's lawyer, Bill Reynolds, who disappeared 3 days ago. Nick and his assistants fulfill the condition, but are 8 minutes late. Shelton still reports coordinates. Arriving at the specified place by helicopter, Nick finds in a hiding place covered with earth dead Reynolds, with a tube from an oxygen cylinder in his mouth. Oxygen stopped flowing exactly at 13:15, and they got from prison to Reynolds for 15 minutes, from which Nick concludes that if they had fulfilled Clyde's condition exactly at 13:00 then the lawyer would have survived. At this time Shelton kills his cellmate with a bone from steak. They put Shelton in solitary confinement, where he accuses visiting him Nick of Reynolds' death, because of untimely delivered lunch to him and tells him that he should answer for breach of contract. Jonas introduces Nick to one spy, who worked with Clyde for the government, and he tells the prosecutors that Clyde Shelton is a virtuoso master of liquidations, using his brilliant intellect for the last 10 years to neatly kill at any distance, adjusting the necessary events, and no walls of solitary confinement are an obstacle for him. The spy also says that Clyde is completely invincible, and the one who angered him will soon die, and in parting recommends forgetting this meeting and shooting Clyde in the cell. Nick, Realizing that Shelton is much more dangerous than they thought, together with Jonas asks the federal judge to put Shelton in complete isolation. The judge agrees. At that moment her phone rings, and she dies from an explosive device planted in the phone. Nick tries to convince Shelton that his revenge will lead to nothing, but Shelton himself calls his killings not revenge, but a war against the corrupted reality and the corrupt justice system. He sets Nick another condition: either they will release him by 1800, or he will start killing. Nick refuses him. As a result, Shelton blows up all the cars of police officers. 6 people die. Among the dead is Nick's assistant, Sarah Lowell, whom Nick valued very much. In the police office, Nick's assistants find a bug connected to the bomb detonator. At a meeting with Shelton, Nick beats him and demands that he stop everything, but Shelton gives him to understand that he is not going to stop. After Sarah's funeral, Nick and Jonas leave the cemetery under cover of bodyguards. But suddenly all the cars in the column stall, and Nick notices a shooting robot nearby on remote control, which immediately opens fire on the car where Jonas was, then blows it up. The mayor not only does not accept Nick's resignation, but appoints him as the new district attorney instead of Jonas. With the help of Sarah's friend Chester, Nick finds all of Shelton's property, including an abandoned garage literally next to the prison. Together with his colleague Dunningen, Nick breaks in there and finds a tunnel dug by Shelton leading right under the prison. In the tunnel they find a lot of different clothes, plans of all city buildings, and even monitors receiving signal from cameras in prison. They also find that Shelton dug tunnels into all prison cells, including his solitary confinement cell, but going up there do not find Clyde. Soon enough, examining documents collected by Clyde, prosecutors realize that Shelton intends to blow up City Hall along with everyone who is now at an emergency meeting in connection with Shelton's activity. Nick and Dunningen go there. Meanwhile, Shelton, disguised as a janitor, sneaks into City Hall and sets up a bomb there, then goes back. Arriving at City Hall, Nick and Dunningen together with a sapper find a bomb that is activated by a call from a mobile phone. At the same time, Shelton returns to solitary confinement, where Nick is already waiting for him. Nick tries to persuade Shelton not to activate the bomb, saying that there are many innocent people in the building, such as Clyde Alexander Shelton and his family 10 years ago, and he will have to live with it for the rest of his life. Nick adds that he learned the lesson that Clyde tried to teach him, to serve justice with all his might and not make deals with criminals. Shelton thanks Nick and still activates the bomb. Nick leaves solitary confinement before that, telling Shelton that he has less than half a minute left, then locks solitary confinement door. At the same time, Dunningen locks door leading from solitary confinement to tunnel. Confused, Shelton finds bomb under his bed. He holds in his hand bracelet made by his daughter. Letters on beads make up word, Daddy. With this bracelet he burns alive. The film ends with Nick attending school concert where his daughter performs playing cello. Did you enjoy the movie? If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more movie summaries. We will do our best to bring you a new summary every day, so stay tuned and don't miss out. Thank you for watching and see you next time.